Sometimes I get really concerned about the future of this country. Sometimes I really question these people who claim to identify as male on the constantly changing gender spectrum because blowing things out of proportion, that is a feminine trait. Taking something that is so small and making it seem like it's a big deal, that is a feminine trait. Creating drama, expressing your fake outrage, overreacting, and calling for someone to lose their job over nothing, those are feminine traits. And look, if you're a female, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you can't change biology, unless, of course, you hire Bob Dylan Mulvaney's doctor. You can't change the way God made you. But men are not supposed to act this way. Several weeks ago, my girlfriend calls me up in an absolute frenzy. She was in a full-blown panic. She was driving down the highway. Someone pulled up beside her, told her that she was riding on a flat tire. Her anxiety took over. She didn't know what to do. She was scared, which that was perfectly fine. She calls me upset. She's crying. She's worried that she's going to wreck her car. Her mind automatically goes to the worst case scenario. I told her, hey, just pull the car over. I'm on the way to change the tire. Within an hour or so, we had the car at the tire shop. New tire was installed. Problem solved. She was calm. Everything was all good. I expect that type of reaction from her. Now, if the same thing happened to one of my friends and he calls me crying and in a panic over a flat tire, I'm going to ask him, what the hell's wrong with you? I don't expect them to act that way. I expect them to handle something like a flat tire on their own. The problem is, there are thousands of men, maybe even millions, that are reacting to situations like women. I don't understand this fascination with fake outrage. I don't understand how some men in this country can get so upset over words. And trust me, it is mainly dudes that are upset about this. The vast majority of women, they have never heard of Chris Broussard. If I go inside right now, ask my girlfriend about Chris Broussard, she's going to say, is that the plumber? Hell, there might even be some of you guys watching right now who's never heard of Chris Broussard. He has been covering the NBA for decades. He used to be featured prominently on ESPN. For the past few years, Chris Broussard has been working at FS1, Fox Sports. Now, I thought that he was working some radio show with Captain Doofus Rob Parker, but apparently, I guess Chris Broussard was promoted to television. If you call working with the original apologist of white privilege, Nikki Wright, a promotion, I would rather watch WNBA dump divers participate in pretend basketball than be forced to listen to the musings of Nick Wright, arguably the most insufferable personality in sports media. I guess I should play matchmaker and hook Nikki up with Caitlin Collins from CNN. Katie Roo! Katie Roo! They could get together and create some insufferable children. But anyway, yesterday, Nikki and Chrissy B, they were talking about James Harden being traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. I guess the Clippers are trying to assemble the oldest roster in the NBA. All of their prominent players, star players, they're all old, well past the age of 30. Kawhi Leonard's 32, Paul George is 33, James Harden, Russell Westbrook 34. And what a fall from grace for Russell Westbrook. This dude went from being a max contract player. This dude went from being Mr. Triple-Double to essentially playing on a veteran minimum contract. Russell Westbrook's only making about $3.8 million this season, less than $4 million. But Nikki and Chris Broussard, they are discussing the James Harden trade yesterday morning on something called First Things First. Today on First Things First, Nick Wright apologizes for his white privilege. Today on First Things First, Nick Wright highlights mythical racism. What an entertaining show. During the discussion, they're talking about James Harden's role with the Clippers and whether or not this was a good move for the franchise. In summary, it's not a good move. James Harden has an absolutely horrible contract. He is well past his prime, making over $35 million a year. But during this heated debate, Chris Broussard, he used a word that was a direct violation of the woke commandments. Usage of this word, it automatically qualifies you as being an ableist. Well, KC, what the hell is an ableist? I guess it's a label given to people who discriminate against people named Abel? Hell, I don't know what an ableist is. I can't keep up with all these new discriminatory laws. Now, I'm going to try and share this clip with you guys. Fox has really been a nuisance lately about clearing their footage under fair use. I never had issues with Fox until the last couple of months. I guess they got tired of me criticizing Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless. I don't know, but hopefully this clip will be cleared for me to use. Either way, I'll give you a brief summary afterwards. But I'm giving you fair warning. If your name happens to be Abel, you might want to fast forward through this clip. According to the deacons at Woke United Methodist, the following clip is highly, highly offensive to people with disabilities as well as people named Abel. Watch for yourself.
He's not going to get to play the way he wants, and he's going to move, but it's not going to work well.
Nick, is the man retarded? I mean,
shouldn't use that word, but sure.
Developmentally disabled?
Sure.
Let me apologize for using that word.
Oh.
I have my first cousin, we just put him he died a few months ago, a month or two ago. He was developmentally disabled, so I didn't mean to use that word.
First of all, I don't know if there would be nearly as much outrage if Nick Wright doesn't call attention to this by trying to correct Chris Broussard live on the air. Chris, you're not allowed to use that word. It's dangerous. Bend over. It's time for your spanking. Now, just in case the clip didn't go through, Chris Broussard, he asked a question using the R word that rhymes with hard. Now, obviously, parishioners at Woke United Methodist, they only allow words that rhyme with hard to be used if your intention is to chub the woke boner. I know this might be hard for younger people to believe, but that word was acceptable until 2, maybe 3 years ago? For 99% of Chris Broussard's life, it has been considered acceptable to use that word. Hell, I think it's the original medical term. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's the original medical term used to describe people with a mental disability. Just think about that. We are now considering medical terms to be discriminatory. If that's the case, how else are you supposed to describe it? Well, KC, you can say developmentally challenged. Well, whatever. The meaning is still the same. But anytime I come across something like this, I always look at the intent of the person being accused of violating the woke commandments. Was Chris Broussard trying to insult anyone? Was he being malicious? Was he being hateful? Was he trying to be offensive? No, 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 and no. He was basically using the word as slang, the same way that most of us have probably used that word in the past. So, what is the big deal here? Well, for parishioners at Woke United Methodist, this is a very big deal. The sensitive men on social media, they are calling for Chris Broussard to be fired. Well, that's kind of confusing. The same people calling for Chris Broussard to be fired, they are the same people responsible for pushing the myth of mythical racism. If Fox Sports fired Chris Broussard for some other reason, these same sensitive men, they would accuse Fox Sports of mythical racism. But if they fire him for being a mythical ableist, that's okay. Does that make sense to you? As you saw in that clip, Chris Broussard, he immediately apologizes for what he said. Now, normally I'm not a big fan of public apologies, especially when the apology is targeted towards the shit fucks, but I can understand why Chris Broussard felt the need to apologize here. Now, I don't know why he felt the need to mention his family member that was, I guess, developmentally disabled or whatever the hell he described it as. I didn't understand that part. It's kind of like the white dude saying, I got a black friend. But I understood why he apologized. Chris Broussard, he was trying to eliminate the fake outrage. He thought if he immediately apologized for his transgression that all would be forgiven. And with us normal people, that was the case. The dude made a mistake. He apologized. Case closed. But when it comes to the shit fucks, there is no such thing as forgiveness. This was not an opportunity for them to forgive Chris Broussard. This wasn't an opportunity for sensitive men to act like real men. No, 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 no. This was their opportunity to dig through his decades-long career in the mainstream media to try to find other past transgressions that have been forgotten. The media, they had to go all the way back to 2013 to find another violation of the woke commandments. Back in 2013, the mainstream media, they were making a big deal about NBA player Jason Collins. I think this was also around the same time that Michael Sam was entering the NFL draft. At that time, the media, they were making a big deal about the G's and LGBT being represented in professional sports. Back in 2013, Jason Collins, he came out publicly and admitted that he was attracted to dudes. Well, Casey, who cares? No one. Apparently, Dwight Howard likes dudes too. You know how bad I would like to see prime Dwight Howard playing for my Pelicans right now? We are in desperate need for a rim protector. We are in desperate need of a rebounder. Now, Dwight Howard is well past his prime and he's no longer in NBA shape, but if he was, and with the Pels needing a rim protector, a rebounder, do you think I really care if Dwight Howard enjoys the grilled wiener in his buns? No, could care less. But for some reason, the media was infatuated with the sexual orientation of Jason Collins back in 2013. Now, Chris Broussard, he is a born-again Christian. He called Jason Collins a sinner. He said he doesn't agree with homosexuality and he believes it's a sin. Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, that's his personal faith. That's his own personal beliefs. He has every right to express them. But according to the media, those beliefs, coupled with the fact that he is now being accused of mythical ableism, that automatically qualifies Chris Broussard to be fired from his job. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And look, I don't know too much about Chris Broussard. I did a little bit of research on him this afternoon. It seems like in the past, he might have bit into the shit sandwich a time or two. He's made some comments in the past about mythical racism, but just because I disagree with him on that doesn't mean I'm not going to come to his defense when he's being wrongly accused. It doesn't mean I won't defend Chris Broussard when he is the victim of fake outrage. This is why I say that social media is a disease. The vast majority of these sensitive men, they're not really triggered. They're not upset with Chris Broussard. The only reason they are expressing their fake outrage publicly is to bring attention on themselves. They're attention seekers. But give me your thoughts. Chris Broussard, he uses a forbidden word, a word that was commonly used for decades up until a couple of years ago. Now, he immediately apologizes, but the fake outrage was displayed anyway. Am I the only one tired of the fake outrage? Am I the only one tired of people pretending to be upset over words? What is with all of these sensitive men? Were any of you guys offended by what Chris Broussard said? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate every one of you guys and your continued support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.